to fear video games. I used to think that video games are the enemy, that video games are Satan, that video games are the thing that pulls kids from life and keeps them in their rooms and make them become avoidant. Now I have a gaming room in my clinic, and I've used video games as a tool to connect, as a tool to make contact, as a tool to empower young people to have the courage to break out of their avoidant behaviors. Hi, my name is Dr. Uri Weinblatt. I'm a clinical psychologist and the developer of Contactivity, a therapeutic approach to helping young people who avoid, disconnect, self-isolate. Shortly, people who have given up on life. So many adults think that video games are the sole cause why young people, especially young boys, avoid life. They don't go out playing out outside in the football field. They don't go to family vacations, don't go to parties, prefer playing Minecraft or Fortnite or CSGO or whatever. They prefer the adventures and the experiences and the happiness that comes in playing games and avoid other good, enjoyable experiences in life. Now, there's something to do with that. But the question is not how can we as adults restrict these experiences, but how can we integrate these experiences, blend these experiences in the life of the young person so they don't live split lives in which when they play, they're active, they're happy, they're joyful, they're friendly. And when they're not playing the video game, they're sad, they're depressed, they experience low self-esteem, they withdraw from social interactions. This split, this disconnection, that is the problem. And I'm sad to say that we, the grown-ups, have encouraged this disconnection. So when we say, hey, when you're playing FIFA, that's not real football, that's not a real experience. Then these young people think that when they're playing, they're not using and developing any capabilities. And that's totally false. They devaluate, as a result of our own devaluations, these experiences, the different things that they learn. So this disconnection, this split between real life, playing outside football in a football field, and playing, I don't know, a video game, these are two separate. There's the real and the virtual. So I have news for you. We all are living in a virtual life. We all have virtual components. When we hold that credit card, that plastic, and we say this plastic is money, is that not virtual? We blend the virtual with the real. It becomes all a part of life. These are all legitimate experiences. When a young person plays the whole day video games, these are legitimate experiences, maybe in excess, maybe too much. But to devalue, demonize this experience is absolutely unhelpful. What we need to do is help the person integrate what they learn when they play video games with other aspects of their life. So, for example, when I meet a young person, and they usually, as they enter my the room in my practice, which I work, they pass through that gaming room, and they look with their eyes open, and they ask me, "What is that?" And I say, "That's my gaming room." Immediately respect. They're not going to meet another adult who's going to do this to them and who's going to judge them and then tell them that they're playing too many video games. Now, I'm not a big gamer. I've learned to play a few games. But what's more important, I've learned to ask interesting questions that help these young people learn that they are bigger than who they thought they were. These questions empower them, increase their self-esteem, make them discover who they really are, discover capabilities that nobody saw before, because they said, no, that's just a waste of time. So, for example, I can ask these young people, hey, what characteristics do you need in order to be a good gamer in this game? Of course, nobody ever asks them this question. They say, I don't know. And then I say, well, I'll give you a few options. Do you need to be creative in order to be a good player? Do you need to have good strategic thinking? Do you need to have capability of collaboration to work effectively in a group setting? Do you need to be wise? Do you need to be supportive to other players? And then they, for example, can say, maybe creative. And I say, yes, tell me about your creativity while you play. And now they're starting to tell me a story. A moment ago, they told me that they're a totally boring person without any interests. And now they're starting to describe themselves as a creative person. And then we start discovering this path and enlarging this path. And then at some point, and not too early, I ask them, and tell me about how this creativity within you, how does it play out in other areas in your life? When do you become creative? In which ways? And then they all answered in the same way that makes me very sad, I have to admit. And they say, but I'm not creative. And I said, but you've just mentioned that you are creative when you're playing the game. And then they say, but that's the game, but I'm not creating I'm creative in life. And that makes me really sad, because I hear this disconnect, this split. They do not value their creativity and do not understand themselves to be creative people. And then I confront them and I say, but you've just mentioned that. And then they say again, but that's a game. Life is different. And I say, in what way? Don't you think that life is a game also? And don't you think that playing is real? Playing is real and life is a game. There's no disconnect. You are, or you possess, creativity. And for some reason, you allow yourself to be creative only when you play video games. And then I say, that makes me very interested. I wonder why. Why do you allow yourself to be creative when you play this game? And when you go out and meet friends, or when you do something else, you feel as if you're not a creative person. Interesting. And that makes them start thinking, why is that? Why am I allowing myself to be creative when I play and not creative when I'm doing other things? This is the process of integration, of helping young, avoidant people identify their strengths when they play video games, when they watch YouTube, when they watch TikTok. They all learn new things, but it's not internalized as learning. It doesn't receive the respect it deserves, and then it vanishes. These experiences are erased, and the person feels empty, and the person feels as if they don't have anything to contribute, nothing to contribute when they talk with others. They're boring. So we help these young people rediscover who they are, develop self-respect, become pride of who they are, and then something very interesting happens. They play less. Why? Because they have the respect, the pride, and the courage to try out new activities in their life.